Red Storm Roundup, a homecoming victory. It's hoop seasons. It's time for a preview, plus everything that you need to know in the world of Dixie State sports. Greetings and salutations. I'm John Potter, joined alongside by the host of The Drive on ESPN Sports Radio 106.1 FM, Devin Dixon. Dev, a good week for Red Storm sports, and it was all just made happy, smiley, fun by a great homecoming victory by the football team. We'll hit on that. We'll also be joined by head coaches John Judkins and Katharia Turner of the men's and women's basketball teams, respectively. Got a lot to get through on this show. Might as well just start.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Let's start with football. Last Saturday at Hanson Stadium, a big win over Humboldt State. 28-19 was the final in that one. The first season sweep for the Red Storm over Humboldt State since both teams have become Division II schools. It gave the Red Storm their third win of the season, matching their total from a year ago, kept the Humboldt State Lumberjacks winless so far in the year. And as you can see on the individual stats, huge numbers for Griff Robles, became the first GNAC player all time to run and pass for 200 yards each in a game. A lot of yards to Jodon Duncan. Great defensive play by Jake Duncan and also Deshaun Perkins with his best season high in 9 tackles plus an interception. Dev, it was a game that you had to come in and be focused from the very beginning. Both teams had their opportunities. Both teams made mistakes. But when the final bell rang, Dixie State had enough to hold their home field.
Yeah, and there was a ton of key plays in that game. There really was. There was the fumble that wasn't a fumble, according to our officials, that really was frustrating, but didn't distract the Red Storm. They were able to overcome that. Griff Robles, though, let's talk about him for just a second. He had 2 6-touchdown games in a row. He's been putting up statistics like crazy, but this might have been his best game. And I say that because his decision-making was really good. The read option, he was smart with the football. 15-28, it wasn't like he was hitting every ball he threw, but he was spreading the ball around. Randon Willard, Mitch Fry, Jodon Duncan, everybody was getting in on the act. But running the ball, it doesn't happen without offensive line play. And the offensive line play was as good as it gets. They played really well. We touched on that in the broadcast. We said, how will the O-line do tonight? And they did a nice job. Did they get every block? No. Did they spring him every time? No. But overall, they continue to make progress.
Yeah, there were some struggles in the late first quarter, second quarter, where the Humboldt State defensive line was doing a nice job pushing back the offensive line, kind of messing up the read option, either to rushes for Miles Burton or Joel Davis, as well as for Griff Robles, but you give the guys credit for their second half effort to come out and, as you said, play as good as game as they have. We mentioned the struggles, but you mentioned Griff having a great game, but the intangibles, what you're not going to see are those 2- and 3-yard runs on first and second down that kept the Red Storm in drives in that second quarter. Plays that should have been no gains, losses, that Griff came back and got some positive yards, kept the flow of the offense going, and kept the team in it in a game that was 7-7 at the end of the first quarter. Humboldt State then used a field goal to take a 10-7 lead, and from there, that's when the Red Storm built up their advantage, mainly late second quarter, early third quarter.
And how about the defense, too? Let's give some love for this defense, too. It was Jake Duncan again, sensational. This guy just brings it. You know you're getting 110%, but Perkins, you mentioned Perkins, 9 and a pick, and then you had Garland Munns, I thought he had a breakout performance. I thought Metz played well. I thought Largent was in a lot of tackles. I mean, all around, Jake Miller was everywhere. So it was the defense, too, getting the tone set. And that was a hungry team. They had won, and they were gunning for the Storm, and Storm were able to just hang in there and get it done. And that's satisfying, especially now with 3 games remaining and 2 on the road. You had to have that homecoming win. That gives them a lot of momentum moving forward.
The significance of getting your third win of the season for a team that has struggled over the past few years in the GNAC play. Talk about getting that third win now, still with the possibility with 2 road games and a home game to close out the season to have one of their best campaigns overall.
Yeah, and I talked to Jodon and Jake Duncan. You were there. They were at the tip-off last week, and they were talking to me about, finishing the season with pride and finishing strong, and we're seniors, and they were taking it one game at a time, but you had a feeling, as I was talking to them, that they really wanted to stay focused. And this is the largest senior class that Brummies had. And these underclassmen owe it to these seniors to continue to win games and maybe put a 4-game winning streak together to end the season for those seniors. And who knows, you've got some tough matchups, and maybe they can get a little help and be right at the top of the standings by the end of the season. It's still feasible.
We'll have highlights of the Humboldt State game when we return, as well as our basketball previews with coaches, head coach John Judkins and Katharia Turner when we return. More Roundup right after this on CEC TV.
We've been in business for 27 years. Our specialty, of course, is pizzas. We have calzone salads, pasta. We use whole milk mozzarella cheese. I think the most important thing that makes good pizza is the crust, and then the marinara sauce, and then fresh toppings.
It's great food. The price is reasonable. You come and try it. I promise you, you'll love it, and you'll come back.
Just come into Roy's and give us a try. It'll be the best pizza you'll ever eat.
If you're in pain, give us a call. We use the latest technology to get you pain-free within 6 visits.
If we get you in early, we can actually help reverse the effects of the car accident now versus waiting and having to do more treatment.
This is Dr. Justin Poppy. Dinner and a movie on the doctor. Call now for a free consultation.
You're no dummy. Accidents hurt. You need to come in today or tomorrow to be pain-free. I'm Dr. Justin Poppy, 656-2888.
Our basketball preview just around the corner with head coaches John Judkins and Katharina Turner, but not before we break down the highlights of the Humboldt State game that the Red Storm football team took advantage of and got a W this past week from Hanson Stadium. Let's go ahead and take a look at those highlights from the ball game. Start out in the first quarter. This is the big bomb to Randon Willard that really set the stage for the opening touchdown play.
Yeah, he had to come back, adjust to it, and nice job getting him down inside the 10.
And there's Griff with the single season-breaking run for a touchdown. Here's Humboldt State response, but a good defense tackling there by Daniel Moffitt and Garland Munns to stop Chase Crevachet. And then here's Jodan, but tackled by 3 guys, and for the second game in a row, fumbles away the football.
Yeah, I asked him about that. He said just wrong hit, wrong time, just happens.
So a scrum for the ball, the Jacks would take over. Morris rolling out to the far side, throws a pass, and that one's picked off. Deshaun Perkins coming up with his first career Dixie State INT. Later on, Morris gets the drive and goes into the end zone for a touchdown. That tied it up late first quarter. Now here's Jamari Sanders with a good run inside tackle, set up what would be the go-ahead field goal of 49 yards by Matt Bruder. Then later on, big pass on the sideline to Christian Basden, his lone catch of the game pushed out by Perkins. But then the Red Storm kind of recovered, and that's where Griff Robles took over with his feet, cut back towards the end zone, and a big touchdown to give the Storm the lead.
Yeah, Joel Davis got a little kick-out block. He just cut off of it there at the 5 to score.
There's Cash Johnson for the Humboldt State Lumberjacks to pull it within 5, and a big pass on the sideline. Got the Jacks within 2 on a field goal, but then it was Jodan Duncan, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, just get off of me. Then put his head down, little less aerodynamic than he should have been, but got out in front, finally tackled from behind. Then Morris trying to roll out, find something for the Jacks, and he's corralled by a group of defenders of Dixie State, getting them for no yards there. Tim Einger on the first hit, and then Jake Miller close it out. And then Griff, being Griff, setting the second highest rushing total of all time for Dixie State with a big run up the gut. Jodan Duncan there with the block in front. That's kind of unfair to have a 6'4", 270-pound tight end blocking for a 6'5", 230-pound quarterback who has the speed to run. All in total, a 28-19 win for the Red Storm as they move to 3-5 on the season.
And you saw a lot of plays made when pressure because the secondary, the coverage was really good. And then you saw a lot of receivers blocking downfield like you just mentioned. And there was the little things like that we're starting to see more of. And that's why we're back to 3-5 overall this season and a chance to have a winning record still this year.
The special teams is a point that I want to bring up. Not the best effort by far in this season. Another field goal block on a Dylan Bischoff attempt. A couple of fumbled snaps on punts. But it didn't hurt the Red Storm per se because Humboldt State had the exact same thing happen on their side. They had a field goal that was missed in the first quarter, a couple of punts that didn't go their way, fumbles late in the ball game. So those are correctable errors for Dixie State that they were lucky enough to get away with in the game against HSU on Saturday.
Yeah, and you got to have all 3 facets. You got to have the offense clicking the defense and the special teams to win a lot of games. Now, you might be able to get away with it at home against a winless team, but that's not going to be the case this week at Simon Fraser. That's not going to be the case in 2 weeks at APU. So they got to figure out where the breakdown is on that field goal unit. And their kickoff coverage was good. I thought their punt game was good, but it's the field goal unit in particular that's had some troubles, and they got to fix it. There's no doubt. And there's still time to do that before this weekend.
And let me put you on the spot. Let me put you in defensive coordinator Derek Campbell's shoes. A lot of yards given up, but only 19 points put up by Humboldt State. If you're in the DC shoes right now, what's the one thing you would change, especially with 2 tough games on the road coming up?
Well, I think, you're going to change fronts. You're going to look at maybe putting a 4-man front or a 5-man front versus the 3-man front. They went a little 3-3-5. They went a little bit different formations, but that's dependent on the matchup, JP. So I haven't broke down the Simon Fraser film, but I know that their star receiver could be back. Their quarterback is back. They're going to have to get pressure on him. If they do go with a 3 or 4-man front, look for Duncan and Largent to blitz from different angles, and we got to put some pressure on Simon Fraser. That was a shootout a year ago up there in Burnaby, and I don't expect anything less. But if the defense can hold Simon Fraser, under 30, 24 points on the road, I think our offense can put up more than that against the Clans defense, and we could get a W.
For the preview of that game against Simon Fraser, we'll do that later on, but we turn our attentions to the Hoop Squads. What does the 5-time Pac West Coach of the Year John Judkins have in store for the men, especially with a big exhibition coming up against UNLV this week? And what does head coach Katharina Turner expect from her brand new women's basketball squads? I'm joined by both coaches when we return on the Red Storm Roundup right after this.
Another thing we have is our compounding section here. We brought it out front to let you watch as they are making the different compounded prescriptions, whether it's troches, lollipops, creams, capsules. It's fascinating to watch it, and they can do that here, and yet it's very safe and no one's going to be harmed.
Friendly service and a pharmacist who knows you by name. Stapley Pharmacy, your complete family pharmacy. We'll have you out the door in 10 minutes.
This is Titan 1-4. No signs of life.
Titan 1-4, hold your position.
What do you got?
Unmanned aircraft is identifying enemy sniper.
Copy that. Let's move. Thanks, Reaper 1-1. We got it from here. Sensors coming off target.
Learn more at airforce.com.
Welcome back to the Roundup. As you've seen, we've kicked Devin Dixon out of the chair to talk our basketball preview. And we're joined by the 5-time Pacific West Conference Coach of the Year, John Judkins. Juddy, it's a pleasure to have you here. Let's just dive right into it. You have a lot of expectations coming back from a 4th straight NCAA tournament appearance. Let's talk about your returners first, starting with a good complement of starters coming back. You've got Kimball Payne starting as your point guard, Dalton Grosskreutz returns as well, and Zach Robbins, who not only was one of the best players in the Pac West, but also in the West region. Talk about how that core plus your other returners sets up your team this year.
Well, it's great. It's great to have returners back. I'm glad I have 3. I wish I had all 5, but I don't. But, getting Zach back, who finished the year incredible for us, and he's also getting some recognition right now as a preseason all-conference kid. So we're excited to get those guys back. I know Zach got married this summer. We had a lot of guys married this year for the first time. I have 7 or 8 guys that are married, so I haven't coached this many married players for my whole life. So we'll see how this goes. But to have a point guard back with experience is nice to get us in our stuff, and then. Like I said, Dalton and Zach back are huge to have us back. Then we got some new guys too. I think that can fit into those other spots with losing McKay Massey, Derek Owen, Steve Larson, those kind of guys like that. It's going to be hard to replace them, but we feel this year's team is going to be just as good as last year's.
Talk about 3 guys that one of them is a returner by trade because he missed last season with an injury in Landon Clegg, but also talk about your 2 kind of Division I bounce-back transfers in Lewis Garrett and Jordan Rex, both local kids who played at Pineview High, who are now back playing for you.
Well, I'm excited, first of all, for Landon Clegg to get back. He, like I said, had some bad luck. It seems like his last couple of years we've had 1 ACL tear every year. If we had another one this year, but it's good to see Landon back, and he's getting back where he was when he was a freshman and a sophomore, and he's got 1 more year, and so I know he's going to give it everything that he has. With getting Lewis Garrett and Jordan Rex, both locals, both from Pineview High School, to get them. I wish I had them for 4 years. Lewis I only have for 1. He transferred from San Jose State. And then I have Jordan with 2 because he redshirted last year at Weber State. So it's nice to have those guys. 1, they're local, 1, they're good players. They're very good, and we expect them to be a big part of our success.
Talk about one of the other newcomers as well, one that you're going to get to have for 3 years, kind of trying to settle that point guard spot since you lost Brandon Simister to Mission this past summer, and that's Mason Sawyer, who was supposed to be a D1 player, bounced back and played some JUCO, and now plays for you.
Yeah, we really liked him out of high school. He won state his senior year. Signed at Boise State is where he signed, went on a mission. Then he decided he wanted to still try that Division I route. And so he went to Snow College, like you said, for a year, and we still liked him then. And then when he went on when he got back off his mission, we kind of had it all done. His girlfriend, now wife, was accepted into our nursing program here, so we knew we had a foot in the door. So we went after him pretty hard, and he's gonna be solid. He said he's got 3 years. You know, it's gonna be nice to see him play with Kimball this year, and then get Brandon Simister back and have those guys together again. They're a lot alike. Those two play more together or more similar than Kimball. Kimball's a little more quick, get to the basket, penetration. These guys are more shooters coming off screens looking for shots. So it sure is nice to have two different kind of point guards in your system.
Talk about your schedule. Obviously, you've got the grueling Pac-West schedule minus Grand Canyon, who moved to D1, but also talk about your early season schedule, because you've got one of the best teams in the West early with Seattle Pacific.
Yeah, our schedule, it's always hard to to schedule teams. One, to get them to come in here. For some reason, they don't want to come here, and they always say, you guys are too good, and I don't want to play. And I said, well, that's not how we do it. We want to play the best teams we can early to get better. That's why we scheduled the Seattle Pacific one in the second weekend of our tournament, and they're going to come back to our place in 2 years from now. So we try to work that. But you're right, we start off this Friday at UNLV, and you know, it's going to be a test. Last year was a lot of fun. Should have maybe won that game, but what a great experience, and hopefully this year we can do the same thing. And then we start, like I said, our opening weekend tournament here on November 8th and 9th. We got some good teams coming in, so we hope that people come out and watch us. We're still going back and looking at last year's stuff, where we're at, and this year we are a little behind. So it's with losing that week, it's been tough, but we're excited.
Well, we're only scratching the surface with this basketball preview. As the season rolls along, we'll have Juddy and a lot of his players coming through. Coach, we appreciate the time.
Sounds good.
That's been the men's basketball preview. When we return, we flip to the women's side with new head coach Katharia Turner right here on The Roundup.
Why is Salisbury Homes the #1 builder in southern Utah? It's simple. Unmatched quality, more selection, and happy homeowners. You'll love seeing prices less than buying an existing home. Amazing locations and a 45-day build schedule. The time to build is now, before prices go up. And with Salisbury, choose from dozens of floor plans, all beautifully designed, and you pick your own colors and finishes. Visit alwaysaffordablehomes.com today or call Kim 801-404-6041. Salisbury Homes.
Give your favorite athletes a competitive edge by enrolling them in an acceleration training package at Intermountain Sports Performance Training. Our exercise physiologists use scientifically based training protocols guaranteed to help athletes run faster, jump higher, and perform better than the competition. Unlevel the playing field. Learn more at dixieregional.org/acceleration or call 251-2256.
Our hoops preview continues now as we transition to the women of Dixie State University. We're joined by brand new head coach Katharia Turner. And Coach, what has been your overall impression moving from one school in the Pacific West Conference and Holy Names to another one now here at Dixie State?
I'm really excited about that transition. Holy Names was a great experience for me, but Dixie State is feeling like home. And so I'm excited about the players that we're bringing in, as well as all the things that we can possibly do here. And so I'm just excited about this move in general.
A couple of your returners that are coming back, names that are familiar for Red Storm fans, and Jordan Giles and Kayla Miller in the backcourt. And then one player who last year was on a red shirt, 2 years ago was the Pac-West Freshman of the Year at BYU Hawaii, Taylor Mann. Talk about that trio and how they are kind of the foundation of what you have and hopefully what you will build upon on this Red Storm program.
Absolutely, they are completely the foundation. They have been in the conference, they know what to expect, they know what it's like to go to Hawaii, you know, some of the different things, holy names, you know, the Bay Area, so they definitely have stepped in and just been the foundation for the team. I find that the players are going to them and asking them questions about how good do you think we're going to be and what does it take for us to be successful, so they really have been the soundboard of the team.
Well, we've talked about Taylor Mann being on the team. There'll be some confusion because you have one of your newcomers named Taylor Maines, who is a familiar name to Southern Utah since she was up playing for the Thunderbirds the last couple of years. I want you to hit on two of your returners are coming into the program, your newcomers, in Taylor Maines and then Haley Homestead from Alaska Anchorage, who, if anybody has seen her play in the first couple scrimmages, she is lights out.
Yes, like you said, Haley Homestead is just an amazing player through and through. She's actually expanded her game, so now she's playing defense to add to some of that lights out. So that definitely helps. But Taylor is coming in and showing leadership. She brings that Division I swag, and so that definitely helps with their confidence. But they're going to be amazing players, and I'm really excited to just see it all play out.
We've highlighted a couple of players. Who else on your squad? Of course, a lot of newcomers, a lot of new faces in Dixie State uniforms. Do you expect to come in and maybe not have a strong beginning, but you expect them as the season progresses, especially into Pac West play, to make contributions for your team?
One of the great things about our team is that we are so deep, and I really believe that at any moment anybody can just have that night where they just are playing and everything is falling. And I mean, from our point guards to our post players, I mean, anybody can possibly just step in, and that's one of the great things about this team, and everybody understands that we are so deep. So I would say all of them at some point are going to have their night when they have their time to shine, and we are kind of counting on that, you know, to cover each other's backs.
Katheria Turner joining us for the Red Storm Roundup as we do our post or preseason basketball previews. For those that came to the Red Storm tip-off, and for those that have come to your scrimmages inside the Burns Arena, I don't think I have seen, since I've been here, a Red Storm women's basketball team play at a pace that is so frantic. What is the method behind this madness of playing the way that you guys do with your pacing?
We call it organized chaos. So the other team doesn't know what we're doing, but we know exactly what we're doing. It is a foot race. We are trying to get the ball down the floor as fast as possible, shoot the layup, and then come down and play amazing defense and limit them to one shot attempt. That's basically the idea behind it. The players love it. They have a blast because it allows them to just play. And then if we need to play the half-court game, we definitely have threats to do that as well. So we're really excited about that fast-paced game.
Your preseason conditioning consisted of running. When you were done there, you ran a little bit more. And then when you were done, you ran a little bit more. Is it starting to click into them that that's why you did that in the preseason, because of this frantic pace you expect to run all year?
After our scrimmage yesterday, our players definitely said, "We know exactly, Coach, why you had us running, and thank you." I think that was the first time that they thanked me for it. But I will say that, you know, Jason Booth and Mo, a few of the people that had that office up above our gym, they definitely didn't want to thank me. They were ready for preseason to be over from the horn going off so much. So.
Before your season starts, you've got an exhibition Wednesday night at SUU. What do you expect when you go up to Cedar City to face the Thunderbirds? How do you think your team will react heading into that big stage environment?
I definitely think that our team is just going to play hard. It's hard to know exactly because we don't have the scouting report, so we're just excited to just go out there and compete.
Well, it all starts Wednesday in an exhibition and then a lot of road games for the women's team. They don't have their first contest back here till the 14th of December against Point Loma. We'll have all the updates from the road, and when they come back from their travels, we'll have updates with Coach Katheria Turner and the women's basketball team. Coach, welcome to Dixie, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We'll have our sports capsules when we return on the Red Storm Roundup. Stick with us.
The more you ride bikes, the better life is. The deals from Bicycles Unlimited are rider-friendly. Since 1974, Southern Utah's premier bike shop has certified bike technician repairs, tires, tools, tune-ups, and more. With the largest array of bikes for all kinds of terrain. Their inventory is huge with top brands, road bikes, mountain bikes, comfort bikes, all kinds of bikes. For maximum fuel efficiency, minimum pollution, or to maintain weight control, come to Bicycles Unlimited, downtown on the corner 90 South, 100 East. Don't forget a helmet.
Okay, you're all set.
Wow, that was easy.
Man, I'm having a hard time working. I know, this Monday is killing me. Monday already? Man, what got into that guy?
Oh, he got high-speed internet from InfoWest.
Really?
He's making us look bad.
InfoWest, the internet people.
Our thanks to head coaches John Judkins and Katharina Turner. Great hoops preview. We anticipate having them on multiple times as we get ready for the winter and spring seasons. Good luck to both of those teams in their exhibitions this week. But time to recap everything else that's happened in the world of Dixie State sports with our sports capsules. We start first with our volleyball team. They just came back from a nice tropical trip in the islands and a successful trip, 2-1. Beat Hawaii Hilo, had a 2-0 lead, had to scuffle through games 3 and 4, but won in the 5th set. Then they blew out Hawaii Pacific with a great individual performance from Mackenzie Bird, who had 10 kills and, more importantly, no errors in that ball game. And then a tough 3-0 loss to 5th-ranked BYU Hawaii. But you look at the overall record, they have 13-8, 10-5 in the Pac West, and they're home for the last 5.
Oh, home sweet home. Yeah, a chance to close it out and really do some nice things. I mean, this team is playing really well right now, and you get 2 or 3 over there. Yeah, you want to get BYU Hawaii. That's kind of the rival game, but still a chance to finish strong, and who knows what will happen with all those games at home.
Saturday against Cal Baptist for the women's volleyball team. Transitioning over to soccer, one game this past week at home at Hanson Stadium. First for the men's team, a loss to the Sea Lions of Point Loma, 2-1, had a 1-0 lead early. Michael Gray getting his first collegiate goal of his career, but an own goal tied it up, and then a controversial call on a potential offsides that wasn't called gave the Sea Lions the win. And the slide continues, 0-5-1 in the last 6 matches, but Dixie State will have their senior day on Sunday against Westminster. Then they're on the road for Cal Baptist to close out the season, so still 2 more matches to try to get some stuff done. On to the women. They took care of business, down a little bit to Point Loma early. They get a 3-2 overtime, double overtime win. Jen Mason, the equalizer, then had the golden goal on a breakaway in the second overtime. Megan Marchbanks had the first goal of the game. The Red Storm 3-2-1 over their last 6 matches. They may not win the Pac West outright, but they've got a chance to be in that top 2 or 3, which is huge for women's soccer. Let's go ahead and transition quickly into our Northwestern Mutual Athletes of the Week. We mentioned women's soccer, and the winner this week, well, we just mentioned her. It's Jen Mason, the equalizing goal in the 59th minute of the game against Point Loma, then the double overtime winner in the second overtime. This is the first Player of the Week honor for Jen Mason this year. Multiple ones last year. She led the team, but this week, a very good honor for Jen Mason as she gets the Northwestern Mutual Female Athlete of the Week. And stop me if you heard this one before, but Griff Robles was named the Men's Athlete of the Week. Shocker, shocker. First GNAC player to pass and rush for over 200 yards in a game. Multiple accolades. The first Dixie State rusher to top over 200 yards since Adam Wells did it in 2007.
Yeah, and I mean, the decision-making was so good, and his breakaway speed, and he got a lot of help from his offensive line and receivers downfield like we mentioned earlier. But happy for Griff. I mean, he keeps putting up numbers like that. We'll have no choice but to keep giving him that award.
We'll see how he does up in Simon Fraser this week. Speaking of the calendar events, here's what's going on for Dixie State University sports as this week continues on. We start first with women's hoops. As Coach Turner said, exhibition Wednesday night at SUU. We'll have that coverage online at DSU All Access. The men will be in exhibition Friday night, 9 p.m. Mountain Time against UNLV. The Rebels will have their Mountain West channel online going. I'll be up in Canada, so I won't be at the basketball game, but the men's hoops will be there. Volleyball Saturday against the Lancers of California Baptist, 6 p.m. in the Student Activity Center. As we mentioned, the first of 5 games to close out the season here at home. And then men's soccer has their senior day, 4 p.m. against Westminster, a recap of a game missed earlier this season. And then football, we go O Canada style up at Simon Fraser, 3 p.m. tip-off with my coverage on ESPN Sports Radio 106.1. Dev, full week should be exciting for Red Storm Sports. With that, he's Devin Dixon. I'm John Potter. We'll say goodbye for now. We'll catch you next time on the Red Storm Roundup.
The preceding program was produced by the Community Education Channel and is available online free at vodov.com.